Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic
Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today we are doing Parker the Outfit. So this is the second of the Parker books by Darwyn Cooke. We did Parker the Hunter, I don't know, a couple months back. I don't know how long it was ago.
Yeah, we'll throw it below this one in a link or something.
Yeah. But basically, like it's so the first book was like a setup of like who this character Parker is and what he's about, and then this one is kind of like him coming back for revenge on the outfit or the syndicate or the mob, whichever you want to call them. And so, yeah, this is the second volume of Parker.
And it's awesome.
And it's fucking awesome. And I say this every time we do a Darwyn Cooke book, but every Darwyn Cooke book is awesome and you should read it. And we love them all because Darwyn Cooke is fantastic. R.I.P. Darwyn Cooke.
Yes.
So.
I honestly think this is Darwyn Cooke's art is some of my favorite art like of all time. It's so cool.
Good.
It's a smooth, great throwback of just that classic art style, but in his vein, and it's beautiful. It's always
and he
beautiful.
can do so many different styles too. Like he can do like cartoony. In this, he does a couple cartoony things, which is really fun. He can do like straightforward, like his style, which I think this book is his like most Darwyn Cooke book, because other times he's drawing like DC characters, and I'm sure he has like a model for DC characters that he has to kind of follow a bit or whatever. Like, they always talk about like, oh, it's a Marvel book or a DC book. There's a Marvel style and a DC style. So I'm sure he kind of like molds himself a little bit to that, which is why it looks kind of like the animated show, because that's kind of what he started on. But then this is what I want to do, and it's my style. It's my personal book. So like this, I feel is the most Darwyn Cooke series, because everything else was for other companies kind of thing. So this was like his own love, like his own personal like love letter to Richard Stark, who wrote the books. And it's like no one's telling him he can't do whatever style, So this is what he picked, and it's such a fucking cool style. I love it. Once again, it is in blue and black, like different shades of those, but generally just all blue and black. We did notice when we were looking at the digital versus the print version of this book, because I read the print hardcover of it and John read the digital, that the digital has much, much lighter blues, or like more vibrant.
Almost like baby blues, yeah.
Yeah, like vibrant blue, whereas the inside of the book is like a dark, like ocean kind of blue, like a deep blue. So
kind of gives it a different feel. In all honesty, if you read it digitally, all I did was just change the resolution a little bit on my screen. So
it brought it back.
Yeah, I brought it kind of back to normal.
Yeah, I don't know that's, I guess, the difference between digital coloring or like what those colors look like digitally than when he does them like, with the marker or whatever.
Which is still weird, because you would think digital they should be able to remake any color, but whatever.
Oh, I think it's just they scan his pages in, and then that's what it looks like on a digital thing. I don't think they recolored it or anything, or had Darwyn recolor it for digital. If they did, that would be interesting, but I don't think so. I think he drew these all with ink and marker. There was no like go through with white or whatever. It was not just ink scans, but So like we said, this one is the sequel. So this one doesn't have any of the setup or any of that stuff. Like, we already know who Parker is, so we don't have to fucking explain him. Which every origin story kind of suffers from this. Like, we have to introduce the character. Just like all the Spider-Man movies, they kept introducing Peter Parker even though we already knew who he was. Like, that can get annoying. And usually the first movie is bogged down by that. So luckily, just like the sequels are usually better in those kind of movies, this was better, I thought. Right at the gate, we already know Parker. We don't know what he's about, and this starts with a bang. This starts with literally Parker getting shot at. He's in his sleep. He's in a hotel room. He's sleeping with a broad. Her name is Bet. We find that out later. But and Parker, it says like, if it wasn't for her scream, I would be dead. But like, she screamed. I guess woke up by this person, and then the bullet, he rolls away.
He rolls out of bed, yeah.
Yeah, and this bullet just strikes right where his head was in the pillow. And he of course has a gun under his bed, so he like, as he rolls off the bed, kind of grabs that, and then he like can't get a shot on the guy, so he ends up like rolling under the bed and throwing the gun at the dude's head, and the guy
like gives him a
knocked
concussion.
out.
Yeah,
more than a concussion. It felt. I mean, the dude basically dies from that wound,
That's
that
true.
injury. I think he like maybe busted his nose or something, but also like his skull or something, and it like maybe had like a hemorrhage in his brain or something, because he was all woozy and crazy. And then like Parker's like, how about you walk yourself out, buddy? And he like falls over the edge and like then cracks his head on the concrete or whatever. So it definitely wasn't a good spot. But before that happens, Parker gets this guy, knocks him out. Parker's like, what the fuck? So Bet, of course, the lady he's with, is like, what's going on?
Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck. What's going on? And Parker's like, shut up. I gotta think.
He's like, basically, my name isn't Chuck. I have another. That's my name with you and like my outside life. But when I'm working, I have a different name. I am not telling you anything about that.
Yeah, well, I actually like, he kind of assesses her like in a paragraph. It's like he thinks about it and he's like, she's kind of fucked up and wild, so like she'll go with this. Okay, so then that's why he's like, I can't tell you everything, but basically, my name ain't Chuck unless I'm not working. When I am working, it's something else. And right now, this guy's come here because of work. So I can't tell you what I do. Just know it's like not good and outside of the law or whatever. So, so Bet seems very interested in this. She's very intrigued. She's like, ooh.
She's like, okay. And she like lights up a cigarette. Like, okay, I'll go with it for now.
Yeah, she's fine with it. Like if someone told you, like someone you slept with or whatever was like, also like, I'm a bad person that the law wants, and you might be involved now, maybe. That seems like something you might freak out about, but she's super calm, cool as a cucumber, no problem at all. So then Parker's like, okay, I gotta question this dude. So like the guy kind of like, he's slapping him like, hey, wake up, buddy. Who sent you? And the guy's like, I ain't talking, I ain't saying shit. And then Parker's like, I mean, if you don't talk, I'm gonna let her at you. And she's like on the edge of the bed, like poised and ready, like, oh yeah, I wanna.
You mean I get to torture him?
Yeah, I can torture him. She's like, take off his pants, and the guy's like, I'll talk, because like she's fucking crazy, and like she seems super into it. And I even wrote like super creepy. She's really creepy. She's super into like torturing someone and whatnot.
She's like, I've never done that before, but I'm into it.
Yeah, and Parker like knows this because of the way that she fucks, is what he says. He's like when she fucks, it's like animalistic and like borderline, like, I don't know, bondage or I don't know, whatever he's talking about. It's like really violent sex, we'll say, she's into. So he's like, she's got like a dark side and I know it, and that's why she's into this stuff. And so once she starts to threaten him in his parts, that's when like he's like, I'll tell you or whatever. So the guy tells Parker that the guy who like sent him was a man named Jim St. Clair, and he sent him from a guy named Skim Lasker. So Lasker is someone that knows Parker and then called called someone in the outfit who then called Jim to send this killer. So it's kind of like a weird like circle of like, how did it get, like a game of telephone to like how it got to here. But that's like basically what it is this guy named Lasker called and said like, I know, like he knew about what happened in the first book, which Parker, for all those you don't know, in the first book, Parker got revenge on a guy who owed money to the syndicate and paid them back with some money he double-crossed Parker with. And so Parker then kind of went after the syndicate or the mob or the outfit, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it the outfit because this book's called The Outfit. But, and so now Parker told that person, that guy's name was Bronson, who worked for the outfit, he was like, hey, like if you don't leave me alone, like we're square now. I got what I came for, and like Mal's dead, the guy that double-crossed me. So like we're square. If you come after me for any of this shit, like, I'm gonna hit you like 10 times harder. Like, I know so many crooks and thieves that could easily knock off any of your guys' operations, and hit you really hard. And I could send them letters and just say, like, do it, and they'll probably do it. At least some of them, you know. So that was his threat to the outfit originally. But the outfit's always, now they've had it out for Parker. They just, I guess it's kind of like an open, dead or alive, you know, what's it called? Contract, yeah. That's like, if you see Parker, tell us about it. We'll kill him. Then he's not on our backs at all. He's not like something we got to think about in the back of our heads. So, then we cut to a flashback of 16 months earlier, and we find out Parker, who he looks different in this book, in the parts that we saw, but it was kind of like dimly lit and whatnot anyway. But we see he gets a new face 16 months ago. That's what he used the money that he got from Bronson from the outfit for. And I like how they revealed it. Like, it's like a black panel, and then they like remove a strip and remove a strip, like if someone was removing bandages. But
I have to say, it was this page that got me into it. Like, because like I was like, oh, whoa, what's going on? And then this, I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot. Like, it totally sucked me right back in. I was like, I forgot. He was like, I'm gonna go do that at the end. And I was like, he got his new face. Like, this is crazy.
I need to get a new face. And so he got a new face. Yeah. That's different. That's a different book, but or a different movie. But yeah. So Parker got a new face. And then he gets a letter soon after that, and he needs money because he spent all his money getting this new face. Apparently, new faces in the 60s. This all takes place in the 60s still, by the way. So that will explain a lot of the, like, how come they don't use a cell phone to call a guy or whatever? But no one has that. Everybody's got pay phones and everything.
Payphones and letters.
Yep, pay phones and letters. So he receives a letter from a guy that's like the go-between between him and other people who have jobs for him. And it says, like, you know, hey, this dude named Skim Lasker has a job that he's trying to put together. Do you want in? And he's like, yeah, I want in on that. So remember, this is the Skim that the guy told on, or that told on Parker, but this is 16 months earlier. So this is giving you who Skim is, what happened, why did Skim want Parker dead, kind of thing. And so we find out that there's like, and this was like a really good chapter because this book is also in 4 chapters, just like the first one was.
Yeah.
And the first chapter is like explaining his new face, and then also like why did Skim want him dead or whatever. So Skim had this job that was like a diner job, where like on this route, there was an armored car that would pull in every Friday or whatever for some pie and drinks, and then be on its way. So Skim and the waitress named Alma kind of came up with this plan to rob the armored car, and apparently their plan sucked. And it was like Parker said, it was basically like I was reading the funny pages in the paper or whatever. Like,
way too many guys, way too many like
knockout gas and shit or whatever. It was just like way too many things going on. They were like, oh, we need 8 guys, and it was only supposed to be like $50,000 total. So it was like, oh, 50 divided by 8 is like 5,000 each. That's not a lot.
Yeah,
so
I'm not doing a job for nickels on the dime.
Yeah, so it was like basically Parker had to like plan it all again, and then they showed like a good amount of like what happens in this, but it's just like kind of an overview of what happened, because there's actually, I think the book goes into a little bit more detail on like what this job was exactly, but basically Parker doesn't trust the waitress, and he's like, I know she's like gonna kill Skim. She's gonna like double cross Skim, and like, so because she was like, I insist on 2 cars, and then we'll meet up at this place. But then they followed her, and they saw she was trying to like time out how long it would take to get to like the state line and stuff from that place, and so she was like, gonna double cross them, and they knew it. And so they do the job. Everything goes as planned.
He brings in Parker brings in the guy he trusts, which is Handy
McKay.
McKay, that's right.
And a lot of these guys, like, we don't need to know all their names, but
Handy's important.
Handy and Alan Grofield, who's another guy that comes up later, are like 2 of the reoccurring people that Parker works with throughout the whole series. So it's good to know those names. They appear fairly often. And so Handy and Parker are in a car after the job, and Alma, the waitress, and Skim are in a car. And like right away they're like, okay, so we're gonna go to like that state line that she went to when we were following her and just wait there. So they wait there.
Yeah. Because I think they put all the money in when they're doing the job. All the money goes in the trunk of her car real fast, and they speed off. And then Parker's and Handy are supposed to catch up to them.
Well, they're supposed to catch up to them and meet at a farmhouse, but they know that she's just going to keep driving, basically. And so they do that.
So they get a fast car.
They get like a Corvette or whatever, and they're like, he's like, you said you wanted fast. And so because Parker's like, it's a little inconspicuous, isn't it, or whatever? But he's like, hey, you wanted fast. So they wait for her like at the state line, and then Parker's got his binoculars. He can see him, and he sees Alma like push Skim's body out of the car, and it's got a knife in his chest, and he's like, yeah, there you go. She double crossed him just like we thought. So put out the strips, and like they put out these newfangled things called
spike
strips, and they spike her car. So right away she like crashes, and then she tries to run away, and they just fucking shoot her. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
No nonsense. It was a great series of events. Push the dead body out. You're like, oh crap, she did it. Drive over the Spike's car, like flips over. She's like, runs out, and then just
pop. Yeah, like Parker doesn't waste time or bullets or any of this shit. Like he's just like, look, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not a nice person. We're on a job, and you tried to double cross us. So there's no point in like trying to run away or any of that stuff. So basically, what happened is they thought Skim was dead. So they're like, okay, Skim's dead, so we'll just take the money and split it between us two. And so that was a nice chunk of change for both of them. But what they didn't know was that Skim was actually alive with a knife in his chest, just sitting there waiting. And he woke up in like the ambulance, and they ended up saving his life. So then it's like you said, 16 months later now, and Skim has gotten kind of back his feet under him. He's like working at a racetrack around all these mob types, and kind of like a little bit in the syndicate or in the outfit. And like just kind of helping out with some numbers and shit for the racetrack. And he happens to see this hot lady, and he's like, who's that? Dime piece or whatever. And he's like, oh my God. And he sees a guy, and he knows it's Parker, because he's the only person who knows what Parker's new face looks like, because he did that job with him. And Parker thinks that guy's dead, so he's not thinking about anything else. And the only person he thinks knows his face is Handy. And so Lasker sees this guy and is like, oh my God, I can, like, he's got a chip on his shoulder because he thinks Parker left him there to die, but Parker already thought he was dead. So I was like, well, whatever. And then so he's like, okay, I know these mob types now that work at the racetrack. I'm going to tell them that Parker's here. He follows Parker back to like where Parker was staying. And then so he's like, I know where he is. So he called Bronson, and Bronson is he gets in touch with Bronson eventually. Yeah. And Bronson is the guy that Parker made the deal with, in quotation marks, with the, like, if you fuck with me, I'm going to have a bunch of people hit you, and we're supposed to be even though you probably don't think so. So don't fuck with me. And so Bronson was like, kill that motherfucker. Yeah. I'm going to send a guy, through this other person, and he's going to kill Parker now that you know where he is. And that's where the beginning of the book starts. So, basically now Parker's like, okay, I know that Lasker killed or was going to get me killed. So he's like, okay, so now he's going to go kill Lasker. And he knows, from the guy that tried to kill him, that where Lasker was staying. And it was like some like motel or whatever, where he was playing poker and stuff. So Parker comes in, and he's like, I need to talk to someone. And they're like, who is this? He had like a mask on his face. He's like, everybody else get out. Give me your wallets. Kind of made it look like he was robbing them. And then kicks him out. And he's like, no, you. To Lasker, he's like, you stay. And he pulls off his mask. He's like, oh my God, Parker, I thought you were dead. Because they actually had the guy call Lasker and say like, it's done, before Parker like pushed him out of the balcony or whatever and killed him. And so Lasker's like, okay. And then kind of tells him all this stuff, like how it happened, where, yeah, I saw you and at the racetrack, and that's how we found out. So And I don't know. I didn't get this. I'm like, why would Lasker think that Parker wasn't going to kill him? But Lasker was very surprised that Parker was going to kill him.
Yeah, he thought it was weird because he thought, oh well, it's like a quid pro quo. I did, you left me for dead, so I was gonna have him kill you, but we're cool now, right? It's Ethan, everything's fine.
Yeah, buddy, we're cool, right? And Parker's like, no, we ain't cool. And he's like, he had the shitty gun that the assassin came with, which was a 22 that was silenced, and he's like, this is 22, so I mean, I'm gonna try to make it as clean as possible, unless you run. And like Lasker doesn't run, but he's like, it took three shots to kill him because it wasn't clean with the 22. So, and that's where book 1 ends of this. And then Parker's like, I'm going to go settle with Bronson. So then part 2 starts with Parker going up to meet another thief named Alan Grofield. And he's like, okay, I want you to like help me knock over like this outfit place. And like, that's kind of like the first hit of this like all of the crooks gonna rob the outfit now. So all of these thieves are getting letters now from Parker saying like, hey, if you get a chance and you had like something in the back of your head rolling around like, oh man, I could knock over that mob poker game, except I don't want to get in trouble with the mob. And he's like, right now is the best time to do it, so do it. And there's gonna be a bunch of us doing them, so they won't be able to like track you down and shit, and it'll be the whole thing. So he has Alan come help him, and like Parker goes to the club, and Parker does this on his own. He's like, I need your help with one of these things, but Parker says like, I'll meet you in a couple weeks to do that thing.
I did like this character a little bit. Was it Grofield?
Grofield, yeah,
because he was like, he's a thief, but he's like into theater, and like he was like in this town. He was like, I gave up that life, but for you, I'm coming back or whatever. Because these people here don't appreciate my theater anyway.
Yeah. He's got like a theater in the middle of like Illinois or something, or like Iowa, and like that's kind of how they make it seem. But it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, the theater's not really pulling in what I thought or what it probably should, with all these unwashed masses, not understanding how great theater is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll help you out.
Yeah, we'll do crime again. And he's like, here, and he's like, gives him this kit to help him like with,
like makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
Because basically Parker doesn't know who knows what he looks like now, so he's like, I'm gonna go in disguise in a couple of these places. So Parker goes by himself. Now he told Alan Grofield like, hey, I'm gonna come, like this job I need you for is in a couple weeks, so we'll be good then, but first I'm gonna go do a couple things. So he goes in disguise now because he's got like Alan Grofield's disguise kit. He goes to the club. The guy who owned the club,
that sent the killer.
Yes. So the guy,
he's the in-between man between Bronson and the killer.
Yes. So he's the guy that Lasker called.
Yes.
Who then sent a killer when Bronson was like, kill that motherfucker. So like he's the middleman, I guess. So
yeah.
He owns a club.
Jim Sinclair.
Yeah, his name is Jim Sinclair. He owns a club, and Parker by himself in disguise is able to rob this club. He's just like, hey, like, how about you shut your fucking mouth? And then like, walks in, does his thing, and is able to get like walked to the back room. And then Jim's like, so you say Lasker sent you, but Lasker's dead, and the guy I sent was dead, so how do I know you're not Parker? And then like Parker's like, you don't. And then he like hits him in the head with a gun, and then like kicks him in the face and knocks him out. And then like he only had one bodyguard with him, and he throws like his jacket over that guy so he can't see anything, and then knocks him out. So then he's able to get $3,000 out of this dude, just like what he had in like his store, little lockbox he had. Then he heads over to Fairfax. So this little club that he hit was supposed to be like the first hint to the mob, like something's wrong. Someone hit one of our places. That's kind of weird. And like the guy's going to wake up and say it was Parker. So like now they know Parker just hit us, and he said that he was going to have all his friends hit us too. So like this is coming maybe. So Parker goes to this dude named Fairfax. I don't think we mentioned this guy. He was in the last comic, but he was kind of incidental, and I don't think we mentioned him because he was kind of like a horizontal. it was like there was Carter, who was the main guy that he was talking to that he ended up killing, and Fairfax. And Fairfax is the guy that he goes to now because Carter's dead. But Fairfax was like in the last one, and he knew the deal that was going on where there's like a silent contract kind of out on Parker, but there was supposed to be like, if we ever double cross him, we're definitely going to be fucked or whatever. So Fairfax is up to date on it, and Parker comes to like make a deal with him, and Fairfax at first is like, no, like I'm not giving up anybody. You can go fuck yourself. And Parker's like, whoa, I don't want you to rat on Bronson or anything. All I need is the guy who's next in line if Bronson is out.
Yeah, call that guy.
Yeah, call the guy who's going to get Bronson's job if, say, Bronson gets killed. And he's like, okay, that dude's name is Carnes. I'll call him. So he calls him, and Parker basically is like, hey, Carnes, I'm going to kill Bronson. Basically, what I want from you is like, if you don't say this is okay, like basically it's only going to reward you. So like I'm going to kill him.
I'm going to do you a solid.
Yeah.
So you do me one, and like this is legit. The end. You do not. Nobody in the outfit comes after me anymore. Say it out loud right now.
Yeah, and he has like the phone out so Fairfax can hear. And Carnes is like, okay, like you can have Bronson. Like tell him everything you want. That he wants.
I never liked him anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, and then I get to move up. I like this. You know, this is a good deal for me. And then you're gone. You know, we don't have to worry about you anymore. So then Fairfax hears that, and Fairfax is like, all right, cool. Like
that's fine. I didn't like Bronson either.
He's cool with it. Yeah, he's like he's kind of a dick. So Fairfax,
he is actually you're right. He's like, I didn't like him, and he's in Buffalo.
Yeah,
here's
him like his
address,
home address, and everything. And he's like, yeah, that's where he's hiding because he's scared because like there's been a couple days in between the like him knocking off that club and him getting to Fairfax. So like word has come out, and Bronson is now in hiding at his wife's house in Buffalo, New York. And so he just gives him straight up that address. He's like, you go take care of him. It's fine. So that's like basically now Bronson doesn't have the protection of the mob, but he doesn't know it. And Parker is like, fuck yeah. Like all my buddies are going to get all this money. We're going to hit him hard, and Bronson's going to look bad. And then I'm going to find Bronson, and we're going to kill him. So like, and I'm not going to have anybody on my back anymore. So part 3 starts off with Bronson, and he's like at his house in Buffalo, and he's like, I fucking hate this place. I hate my wife, my fat wife. I just want to be fucking like a $100 prostitute, he says, which back then was probably like a $10,000 prostitute or whatever. And you're like, my wife looks like a cow, and I have to buy her $100,000 house. I might as well just have a prostitute who I only have to pay $10,000 to or whatever.
It's like, we're sitting here in this house in Buffalo, away from all of my things that I enjoy and like, and we're playing Monopoly with the bodyguards.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
That's all they do. And he fucking hates his family and everything. Like, it's funny. He's just so miserable there. And he's like, how did it come to this or whatever, you know? And he's just kind of thinking. And then this is like the best part of the book, I think, besides like the like finale. But like this is where we get the robberies. And so I like the way he does this. He like introduces each robbery in a different way. Because like basically Fairfax calls Bronson to be like, you think maybe he's calling him to be like, hey, Parker's after you. But no, Fairfax is totally in on this deal with Parker. And he's like, hey, just letting you know, more of our clubs keep getting hit. And like
someone hits for
$87,000 last night at the Cockatoo Club. And he's like, what? $87,000? How does that even happen? So then this is where we get the robberies, like how he's going to show them. So each one's kind of shown in a different way, and I appreciate that in this graphic medium, you know. But the first one is written like it's an article in a magazine, and it's like inside scoop
from the Cockatoo Club.
Yeah, like inside scoop how 2 men robbed a mob club or whatever, and it's told in like magazine format, so it's actually written out. And I don't know if it said it was by Richard Stark. I don't know if he rewrote this for this book or if it was just taken from like an excerpt from the book, but it was just like straight up writing. So there was a couple pictures, like there was a picture, like a full page picture every or illustration, I would say, every maybe 2 or 3 pages. But for the most part, you were just reading like text. And it's not as boring as it sounds because, like, I don't know, he did a really good job of like, it's the book.
No, it was very engaging, and it was cool to change the medium like that too.
Yeah.
Like I liked this in there.
And he even did like the fonts and everything of a magazine where they like pull out a little excerpt and put it in super bold in the middle and says like it was like taking candy from a baby. And then like you read the next paragraph, and in that paragraph there it says, and then Rico said it was like taking candy from a baby. And so like, yeah, it was a very like cool way to show it. And it was very like, the magazine design was all 60s and stuff. It was very cool. It was like Mad Men style magazine.
Yeah.
All in the same colors and everything, same color format, but just like the way it was designed. And so we see, there was 2 robbers named Rico and Terry who are friends with Parker, and they're like, fuck yeah, we'll rob the Cockatoo Club. So they get $87,000. And then it said the next day in Del Mar, and they also did this to show it was all over the country. So it's not just in one area, because then they could say, oh, Parker's doing all these jobs. It was like, no, it's like multiple places all across the country, all at once or days apart.
Yeah.
There's no way Parker could be involved. He definitely sent these letters to all these people and said, like, do this thing. And so the next one was in Del Mar Racetrack. This guy named Salsa found out where like the mob keeps money that can like help them hedge bets right before horses run.
I like this way this one was broken because this one was a little more. It had more pictures.
It was like a pictorial cartoon, like a 60s cartoony.
Yeah, it was, like, and it like explained. So like, this is the racetrack, and this is what this happens, and then they have a bookie that does this. But if the bookie gets behind, or if someone wins their bets, they have to go to the next higher booker, and if they get behind, they have to go to like a super booker that works directly for the outfit.
Yeah,
and if they have to go behind, they have to go to the
outfit itself has to put down, like it has to make a giant bet on the other side to like weigh it out so they don't have to pay as much or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
basically,
it was cool. It was a cool way to show it, and it was like super cartoony, but like very 60s cartoony. I liked it a lot. I feel like I've seen little shorts or something like from the 60s and 50s that had this little cartoon model. Like everybody's got like a big wacky faces and stuff, or like, I don't know. I've definitely seen this animation style before, and it would look like animation. So yeah, this guy named Salsa robbed this gas station that had the like hedge bet money for the mob there, and it was $30,000. And then on the same day, somewhere else,
in Queens,
so in New York,
this one was crazy because this one started out with like, so there's heroin being trafficked, and I was like, whoa,
yeah, because it's the mob,
the drug money now.
Yeah,
okay,
it's drug money. So the heroin money. The money that is like taken from the heroin dealers is taken in these suits, and then like this guy has to wear a suit and flies to an airport, and then he drops that suit off with another guy, and then like they change jackets and it's the same suit or whatever. So like these 2 guys named Parnell and I think his name is Weiska.
Yeah, I think,
or Weissa. I'm not sure. Or Weicha. I'm not. It's like a Polish name or something. So it's got a C and a Z in there. So it's a little hard to say, but They like come onto this, and I love the style of this, where it's kind of like it was a different cartoony style. Like he figured out a way to do different types of storytelling with the cartoons, and also like styles of cartoons. So this was like all in a straight line. So like you could just read right to left, like it was all one page.
This one, the art made me think of those old Pink Panther cartoons. I don't know if you remember those.
Yes, like the little janitor.
Yeah,
the guy had like a big nose. Yes, exactly. So, yes, it was very much like that. And so, and then it says 2 days later, the Acme numbers racket was hit, and this is actually a job. This is the job that Parker needed Grofield for. So it's Parker, Grofield, and Handy McKay. They hit this Acme Corporation that has like. It looks like it seems so small because it's like some lady walks into a store and is like, one dime on number 345, and that one dime equals $18, and then that $18 equals $1,000, and then that $1,000 equals $9,000, and then at the end of it, it's all stored in this one bank for a total of $70,000+. And so, or like not a bank, but like one vault or one room or whatever. So like basically, every like store in this neighborhood takes like little dime bets or whatever on numbers, and those people will win like $1,000 if they win, but it's such a low thing, they just get dimes all day long. And then it ends up being a large sum of money because it's like all these different boroughs all at once and one day store all their stuff in this place. And Parker knows about it. They hit it. They get $70,000. And that's like the last one that's they tell about. So did you feel like this went a little too long or anything? Or did you feel like this section with the robberies?
No, I honestly, like, the only one that seemed like kind of longer was the handwritten one out. And then, again, that was just because it was all text, and I was like, oh, this is a comic.
Yeah.
But then, once I read through that one and then saw, I was like, oh, each of these are different, and they play different. Because I thought it was going to be like, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to explain the jobs, but I thought it was just going to all be written out. But as soon as I got to the next part, I was like, oh, now I'm really into this. This is cool. This is a magazine. This is a cartoon. This is a comic strip. Like, they all felt different. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I felt like, because I forgot like how many there were. I'm like, are they going to show like 12 of these or whatever? But like, no, they only showed 4. So, you know, and they showed them like really well. Like I said, they broke them up into different styles or whatever. So, but then it cuts back to Bronson, and basically he learns from a guy named Quill that shows up that in the past 5 days they've lost over $1 million. And this is in 60s money, so that's a shit ton of money.
A lot of money.
Just from his friends stealing stuff. And that was just in the 5 days. So then this guy named Quill shows up and is like, hey, and he's like one of these new outfit men. Bronson kind of goes on about this in his head, where he's like, these fucking accountants show up and they're part of the outfit, but like they've never even fired a gun. They're like, they don't even know how to punch a person.
Never punched
like,
one.
They don't know how to do shit. They're not even bad guys. They're just like literally accountants that are now hired by the mob. And so he's like all mad about this kind of inside. Yeah. He's like, I got all these guards down there, but I don't even know if they've ever done anything or could actually protect me. And so,
and like he also was like, with all of this stuff that's happened, he's like kind of like, well, like, is the outfit gonna even like feel like I'm like good at leading now? I have to find somebody that I can pin all this money loss on. And he's like, Fairfax, maybe it was Fairfax's fault.
He's like I could pin this on Fairfax, I think, you know. And so
I never liked that guy anyway.
Yeah, I never liked that guy, but it turns out Fairfax doesn't like you either. So when Quill shows up, he tells Bronson there's actually been it's been 10 days now, and he says there's actually been 12 robberies in the last 10 days. And he tells him that like basically everybody just kind of gave up the money. Like Bronson asks like, how come no one like fought for the money or anything? Like, why was no one else shot, or, you know, like, why was there no shots fired? Why was it all peaceful? And like, why were these people tied up basically and not knocked out and shit? And Quill's like, well, now these people, they pay taxes on the money that we pay them. They're not actually,
they're part of the outfit, but they're employees.
Yeah, like they're what the mob is becoming. And this is how Bronson describes it, is like, it's fucking soft. Like, these people don't think of the mob like it's someone that I have to fight for, like I have to protect it with my life. They just work for them. It's like if you own a bar that washes money for the mob, the bartender doesn't give a fuck about that part of it. They're
making their money.
They're just a bartender, yeah. So they have to pay taxes on the money they get paid for and everything. So they just think of themselves as like legitimate workers, and maybe in the background there's some shady shit going on, but they're not part of that. And so it was like an interesting look, and I really like this part because like Bronson is so like hard and old school, and like here's the new school, and they're all soft and fucking losers or whatever. And like Quill's like, all right, well, you know, have fun with that. I hope you figure it all out. Just letting you know what was going on. And he leaves, and right when he leaves, Parker shows up, just like gun in hand, ready to fucking kill him. And then part 4 starts of this book. So then we get like a kind of what happened before Parker got there. They kind of backtrack a little bit. And it shows Parker asking Handy McKay to help him with this just Bronson's house. And I thought this part was interesting. They show this maybe for future books, but they're kind of like building up the Handy McKay's character a little bit to show that he's older now, and he's kind of getting sentimental. Because like for Parker, no matter what all the other people feel about him, for Parker, you're just an employee that works with me. Like, we're not friends. Yeah. It's like if you work at a job and someone likes you a lot, but it's like we just are workmates or whatever. Like, I don't like you other than I have to work with you kind of thing. That's how Parker looks at it. this guy Handy is now like, we're old buddies, right? You know, like we got a history and we got to stick by each other. Like,
yeah, because he asked him to help him with Bronson's job, and he's like, they were gonna get whatever money from that too. They'll steal from his house, and Parker's like, we'll split it, and Handy's like, no, it's cool. This one's personal for you. I get it. Like, I'm just helping you out as a friend.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, we're splitting it. Like,
yeah, and he's like, this is a bad sign. Like, I don't like. Handy's like, now he's like, he's losing his edge. Like, you know, you can't once you start doing that shit. That's when you get sloppy, or that's when you like tell on someone because you have feelings for him or something, you know. So like he knows like Handy might not be useful or like a good partner in the future.
I want to mention one quick thing before Handy showed up. Like he's waiting at this house.
This is like perfect Parker. Yeah.
Yeah. Like so, they're waiting in a house, and it's with a lady that owns the house. She used to be it's a motel. Pardon me. She used to be a hooker. But he's like, oh, she's a hooker that like was able to get out with money in the bank, and so she's running this small motel now. And it was funny because like she obviously they have a pass, and she comes in and they're talking, and she's like, oh, she talks too much, and her words start to go from words to blah 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 blah.
And then he'll just answer like, yep,
yep. Mm-hmm. It's like yeah, it's perfect. Like I'm really enjoying and understanding like Parker as a character now. So him being like, God, just shut up, and then just wah 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 in his ear. He's just like, mm-hmm. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's like perfect Parker, the way that he draws it and like has her dialogue and everything. Because like he doesn't care. He just has to listen to her talk and like answer her when she needs to be answered, like, just to pass the time because Handy's on his way or whatever. And then Handy's like, "Hey, Midge, how's it going? It's been so long." And he'll like talk with her, and she's like, "Do you want to get drunk later?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll see you." And like they're like, "Parker," he's like, "No, I'll pass." Like, and so. Now McKay and Parker are like on this job together. It's Bronson. They're going to actually get to him. And so Parker goes out and he like, now that they know where he lives and everything, because Fairfax gave him all the information, they're like, okay, we'll just like scout out his house. And this is where you see like how good of a planner Parker is. And even something that seems straightforward, like we're going to go kill Bronson. Like he like is sitting there. He like times out every time a car drives by, what time it was, how far in between the other ones, you know, the patrols does it happen? Where's the driver of the car? Oh, he sleeps in the place the place above the garage. How many people are in the house? When the lights turn off? Where all the doors are? Where all the windows are? Like he totally has this thing on lockdown, and it's just like it's not even like stealing for money. It's just like to get revenge kind of thing. So,
and he stakes out a couple nights, and it was cool too because like as he's staking out over nights and he's seeing the repetition of things too, he's like, God, this is gonna be easy. Like literally, they play Monopoly every night. Like there's nothing.
Yeah,
like, these guys aren't doing anything.
And not only that, they're not even doing like their job protecting. Because like when he's like, okay, I'm going to bed, Bronson like walks away up the stairs by himself. They don't go with him. They don't clear the room for him. They don't do anything. So he's like, I could literally like just go upstairs and wait for the guy to go to bed, and then like kill him. So he's like, this is gonna be easy. So then they actually wait like another week to be like, hey, just to give our guys a little bit more time to do some jobs on the outfit. And that's when it's been 10 days now. And Quill comes and he's like, you've been hit 12 times. So right as Quill's saying that, like we're right before that, Parker and Handy sneak in, and Parker like makes his way all the way up the stairs and everything. Like no one notices him. All these security guys are sitting there playing Monopoly, and no one notices him at all. And Handy and him both go up the stairs, and they're just waiting there. And they hear the talking between Bronson and Quill. And Quill's like, yeah, you've been hit 12 times in the last 10 days. And Parker's like standing there. And I like this part a lot. Parker's standing there, and his face is stone. And then like he's just listening. And he's like, Bronson's like, Parker, that son of a bitch. And then like the next panel is the same panel, but like he's got a smile now, and like I love the way that they showed that. And then so then they're basically like, man, these guys are talking a lot. So they just go into a room next door that's like adjoining. They can hear everything that's going on being said between Bronson and Quill, and they just wait there. They're just like, man, we're chilling in the bedroom. No one's gonna check this place out or anything. So
like Handy was like, man, 12 times. It was to like because he didn't know, I guess, how many. He was like 12 times. Wow.
Well, none of them did, because even in the books they say this more, but Parker's like, I don't know how many people are gonna hit, but some of them for sure will. So like he sent out letters upon letters, like at least 15 letters to people, and 12 of them actually hit, which is more than he thought were
Yeah.
going to hit him. So he's like happy about how much it actually hurt them, because the mob really won't care about Bronson if he's dead now. You know, like he's the reason this happened, because he couldn't wrap up this whole thing. You know, so
Yeah.
he left loose ends, and it's his fault. So Parker, they hear Quill leave, and right away Parker comes in, and that's when this chapter began. Parker steps through the door, and Bronson like looks at him, and he's like, Parker, so that's what you look like, or whatever. And he's like, yep. He's like, you ready to die? And he's like, are you gonna call out Bronson? And Bronson's like, yeah. And he's like, help. and in Bronson's head, he's like I'm gonna see if these fuckers are worth anything for real now. And so he yells help, and right away he gets shot by, gets killed by Parker. They shoot him, and then a shootout begins. And these guys are fucking idiots. They're shooting at him, but they're missing, and Parker's hitting everybody that he's shooting at, and so is Handy. And then they eventually kind of get split up a little bit, and Quill is still in the house, and the Quill and the security guys end up like where they were playing Monopoly, basically.
Yeah, they have a little cover there.
Yeah, and then like Handy's watching them, and Parker's like, hey, I'm gonna go like run out the top over like to this window that has a balcony, and run down and like jump over the window, and then like surprise them on the other side. So he does that, and it catches them all by surprise, and they were able to like kill them all, no problem. He's like, so this is what the mob has come to. Like,
yeah, basically the only one left is Quill. He's like, wait, don't shoot! I don't have a gun.
Yeah, I'm just the accountant. And so,
and this is a fun part.
Yeah, Parker's like, okay, cool. Like, you're the accountant. Well, then why don't you tell your boss that like, we're even now.
Yeah, the new
Carnes.
Carnes. Yeah. Tell Carnes.
Yeah, tell Carnes that like Parker said we're even now, and he doesn't have to worry about me or my friends hitting him anymore. Now, it's going to take a bit for this to stop, because I sent a bunch of letters, but eventually it will stop, and he won't have to worry about people losing money anymore. And then the whole Quill's like, whoa, hold on a second. Like, I gotta write all this down. That's a lot of information.
This is complicated.
Parker, this is complicated. And Parker's like, you know what? This is complicated. And he just shot Quill. He just like shoots him. He's like, for being annoying, basically. Like,
I'll tell him myself.
Yeah, that's how annoying and like weak the mob has become. Is the guy's like, hold on, let me get a pencil for this. Let's write it down. And Parker just shoots him and kills him. And then they're like, hey, we found in Bronson's house $38,000. So they get that on top of all the other money that was stolen. And then Parker actually calls Carnes himself later and says like, hey, just let you know, like your guy Quill, I had to kill him, but basically I was telling him before I killed him, like, we're good now. Now Bronson's gone. You're in charge. I helped you out. You helped me out now, and like we're solid.
And the caveat to that is cool, because it shows it's in like Lake Tahoe, and the guy picks up the phone and you realize it's Carnes because Parker's talking to him, and he's like, and I left you a gift. And you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, look on your bedside table. And he's like, there's a bag. It's 10% of what we just took of the 38,000.
Yeah, because you always pay the finger 10%.
10%. He's like, but how did you get in? He's like, yeah, how did I get in? How did I get past all of your guards who were actually guarding and this and that? He's like, yeah. So we're good now, right? He's like, you son of a bitch. All right, we're good.
Like, we're good, I guess, because I don't want to die. And obviously this dude is really good at like sneaking in and breaking into places. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the end, is like just Parker being like, we're good. And also I need to go fuck Bet right now, because one of the things that happens in the Parker books is he can never have sex during a job or before a job. It's always got to be afterwards, when he's like high on life and he's now all the like tension is out. They did the job or whatever, and now he's gonna go fuck his lady. So like that's his whole thing. I don't know. It's just part of his character traits or whatever. But yeah, he basically says like, now I gotta go find Bet and work off this tension or whatever. And so yeah, that's the end of it. Is there anything else you wanted to hit?
Other than, again, that Darwyn Cooke's art is amazing, and I love it. And the part in the middle that I was weirded out first, like once I got into it and saw there were different parts and different ways of his different styles that he went with
for each robbery,
I was like, oh, this is freaking awesome. Like, that's such a cool, unique thing. I loved it.
Yeah, he's a master for sure. So what do you give this one, John?
So the first one, I think I gave a 7, because again, I think what we were saying before is that introduction. It was kind of like getting through that. And also, when I first was introduced to Parker, I was like, oh, he's kind of mean. And
yeah, well, he was a lot meaner in the first one because it was all personal, like vendettas.
And so now that I've grown to understand him as a character and like that you are rooting for him, even though he is a bad guy, quote unquote, like I felt much better about it this time. So I'm gonna give it an 8. It was a solid read. I enjoyed it. I want to read more.
Awesome. Yes, we will. There's only 4 books, so we might as well
do them all.
Do them all eventually. But yeah, so this one to me was like really, really good. Like, I mean, I fucking loved it. Like halfway through it, like when we got to the robbery part, I'm like, I love Darwyn Cooke so much. Like he just does such a good job at telling the story. It's so entertaining. And I'm so sad he's gone. But like, it's just so good. And I think I gave a 9 to the first one just because I love Parker. I love Parker, and this is even better, so I'm going to have to give this one a 10.
Oh.
I'm going to give this one a 10.
An elusive 10 for Matt Hansen.
An elusive 10. I mean, I think this whole series is a 10 altogether. If you read all 4 of these as one book.
I was going to say, is that why? Because one of your grading standards, I have to say, because you mentioned it a lot, is that it changes the whole aspect of comics, I guess, it's groundbreaking.
I think this is groundbreaking because, one, it's Darwyn Cooke, like, on his own, doing his own thing. You get to see how good he really is at storytelling and at, like, art. Like, just how many different ways he can tell a story. And
that's true. I'm going to interrupt you for just a sec because I want to say one of the cool things from you saying that made me think of is that, so we have that part in the middle where we mentioned where he just writes stuff out, whether he took his an excerpt or not, and then pictures. But in a lot of this comic, it isn't actually a heavy read because some of the panels for a few pages are just beautiful art telling this story.
Yeah, there's no dialogue.
It's amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and your eye just goes. Like, it's like you're watching a TV show almost. Like, there's no, like, what's going on in this panel? Or, no, none of that. It's just, it's so free. I don't know. He just did such a good job. I think this series, like, definitely deserves, like, whatever, I don't know, what are they called? Whatever the Oscar is for, I don't know what they give at Comic-Con, but, like,
oh yeah, I don't remember what that one is either.
I was gonna call them commies, but that's not what it is. But whatever, Eisner's. Eisner. Give an Eisner Award. I know this probably did win Eisner's, but I think like this deserves more accolades than it
needs to re-win it every year.
Every year, and everybody should read more of this, which is why we're doing it in this podcast because I love him so much, and not a lot of people has heard about it. So. That's why I'm giving it a 10. I think it deserves a lot more credit than it's given.
They're like, oh, is this that Jason Statham movie?
Yeah, which I actually liked. You gotta watch it. But I watched that, and I after I made fun of it last time, I was like, well, let me watch it, and it wasn't so bad. Okay. I mean, he was British, which was weird, but the story overall was pretty solid. So yeah, go watch Parker if you want a movie version of it. But read the books. The books are the most solid thing. Read the comic if you want a good Darwyn Cooke interpretation of those books, which is fantastic. I mean, I can't give this enough accolades and like, up it. So it's a 10 for me. This series overall is a 10. Each book I probably will give a different number because each one has on its own merits, might differ as far as storytelling and whatnot. But yeah, I feel like this one for sure is the 10 out of the 2 we've read so far. Maybe the next one's also 10. I don't know. But next time we are going to be reading Fables, Volume 1. So that's a Vertigo title. And so if you guys want to read along or just have us spoil it, do that. On that note, if you guys want to ask us questions or comments or suggestions, you can email us at Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget to check out our Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel, Facebook. Our YouTube channel specifically, we've got a lot of cool content on there, exclusive content, statue reviews. We've got hardcover reviews from Mr. Hansen over here. So definitely check it out.
Yep. And on that note, I guess we'll see you next time.
On the next one.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.